Hey guys, Rushy here, welcome back to another video. Apologies for it being so long since my last upload. Basically, I've been really busy with college work after starting the second year of my course. For my first assignment starting back this year, I made a music video and hopefully now it's been marked, I should hopefully be able to upload it to YouTube very soon, so stay tuned for that. Also, since I last uploaded, I started learning to drive. So I thought I'd make a video about this topic. So basically this video is going to be about how to treat learner drivers. Me, myself, I'm learning to drive in the UK, but most of the rules and advice I'm going to give will apply worldwide. So this isn't so much advice for learner drivers, but advice for drivers in general and how they should treat learner drivers. So my first piece of advice is to not beep aggressively at learner drivers no matter what the circumstance. The horn should only be used to alert other road users of your presence and for no other reason. And you don't need to lay on the horn to do that, only a quick sound of the horn and that should do the job. Beeping aggressively at a learner driver will most likely cause them to panic and make further mistakes. My second piece of advice is to not tailgate a learner driver, or any driver for that matter. Always leave a safe following distance no matter what type of road you're on and no matter what the speed limit. Following distances will vary depending on the road conditions. A 2-second following distance should apply on dry roads. In wet conditions, the following distance should be doubled to 4 seconds. And in snowy and icy conditions, the following distance should be 10 seconds. My third piece of advice is do not cause a learner driver to have to change their course or speed because of your actions. For example, pulling out on a learner driver at a junction or forcing a learner to give way to you in any circumstance when they have priority. On my third lesson, I think it was, someone pulled out from the side of a road into my path and my instructor had to stop the car. That was a very unnerving experience. Luckily I didn't crash. And on my fourth lesson, someone pulled out in front of me at a junction, but luckily I was going under the speed limit so I didn't have to brake too harshly. But yeah, it can cause huge inconvenience, but even more importantly, it is definitely a safety risk and could cause a learner to crash, and it could definitely affect their confidence if you're just bullying them by not giving way to them on the road. My fourth piece of advice is do not get offended if you are overtaken by a learner driver. Don't obstruct a learner driver if they are overtaking you. This hasn't actually happened to me because I haven't overtaken anyone yet, but I've seen it on YouTube where drivers don't like learner drivers overtaking them and they try and obstruct them from overtaking. Honestly, I don't know why they do this. There's no shame or humiliation in being overtaken by a learner driver. And usually if you see like a driving school car overtaking you, it's usually the instructor who's overtaken. And honestly, they are not overtaken to humiliate you, and there's no shame or humiliation in being overtaken by anyone, whether it's a learner driver or any driver. And if you see a learner driver, or usually it's the instructor who's overtaking you, don't obstruct them, just let them overtake. My fifth piece of advice is to show empathy and have patience with learner drivers. This is because learner drivers, myself included, naturally make mistakes because we're new to driving. Honestly, if a learner driver stalls in front of you, have patience. It's because me, myself, before I started learning to drive, I had basically no driving experience. So having to learn clutch control, driving a manual car from scratch, it is quite a skill. It takes a while to master. So if a learner driver is driving below the speed limit or stalls at a junction or wherever, have a bit of patience. Don't beat at them. If it's safe, feel free to overtake, but if not, don't, and wait patiently behind. My sixth piece of advice comes from the Highway Code, more specifically Rule 217 of the Highway Code, which is about learners and inexperienced drivers. This rule states, they may not be so skillful at anticipating and responding to events. Be particularly patient with learner drivers and young drivers. Drivers who have recently passed their driving test may display a new driver plate or sticker, also known as a P plate. In the UK, displaying a P plate once you've passed a driving test is optional, but you can display it if you want to for as long as you like. So basically, to sum that rule up, it basically means to be patient with learner drivers and new drivers who've also just passed their test. Expect them to make mistakes because they are new to driving. So for my final piece of advice, which is do not be offended when a learner driver doesn't thank you for giving way to them. It's the instructor's job to thank you, to wave, to say thanks. It's not the learner driver's job. The learner is too busy learning to drive, so if you see an instructor car that doesn't thank you, that's the instructor's fault, not the learner's fault. And anyway, he'll most likely be very appreciative and grateful for you giving way to them. Remember that learner drivers have just as much right to be on the road as fully licensed drivers. And also, think back in terms of having empathy for learner drivers. Think back to when you were learning to drive and how you would have liked to have been treated, and treat learners how you would like to have been treated when you were learning to drive. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed and found it useful. I thought I'd make this video because since my last video I started learning to drive, and I'm still learning at the moment, and I just think learner drivers don't get respected as much as they should on the roads, in the UK especially. Thanks so much for watching this video. Like I said earlier, hopefully I'll be able to upload a college project soon, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for sticking with me, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.